welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I'm Rebecca. I got a haircut. Living, loving, laughing, having a good time because it's been 95 degrees every fucking day for like 10 days here and I couldn't take it anymore. So like a week ago, I just cut it off, said goodbye. We're living our best life. So I'm in the kitchen chopping up some stuff, prepping for dinner, and I thought it would be a great time for me to talk about just some, vacation read recommendations or, beach day, pool day, whatever, what have you. It's just that season where we find ourselves doing leisurely activities with spare time to read. So I thought this would be great, and maybe not so much for you Veloci readers, but if you're going on family vacation or you have that friend who decides they're going to pick up, their first book in like 3 years and they're like, what do I read? I thought this would be a great list for you to look upon to and to give recommendations. So let me pull up my list here. Come on, Goodreads, cooperate with me. Here we go. Okay, so I feel like I have a little something for everyone. I'll start at the bottom, I guess, just work my way up. I tried to do mostly backlist, partly because just of general availability. I feel like for the most part, like you could probably pop into like a Barnes & Noble, local indie, Amazon, whatever, and get these. But I also figure if you're like on your trip and there's like a used bookstore down the street, you may be able to find these, or airport bookstore, things like that. So first things up, and actually this one's probably be a little harder to find, is the Charlotte Holmes series by Brittany Caballero. The first book is called A Study in Charlotte. This is kind of named after, obviously, the Sherlock Holmes series, Charlotte Holmes. She's supposed to be his great-granddaughter? I think it's 3 greats. She's away at this boarding school. She meets a guy there. I think his name is Jamie, and he's a Watson, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, all the stories in the series are based obviously loosely off of Sherlock Holmes stories. So the first one's A Study in Charlotte instead of A Study in Scarlet, and it's kind of that theme there. But these were a very good time. I want to say there's 5 books in the series, at least up to date. I don't know if it's over yet or not, but I really enjoyed this. So the premise here, Jamie Watson is at the boarding school on a rugby scholarship, runs into Charlotte Holmes, and he's like, oh God, like, here we go. He's like, from everything he's heard about her, she's supposed to be this, great, brilliant person because, of course, she's a Holmes. And they definitely have that, like, chemistry because they're teenagers. I think they're supposed to be, like, 16 or 17. And there's definitely that, like, I can't tell if she likes me or she just tolerates me, but I like her kind of vibes going on. And so you follow them through, and then there's a death on campus because, of course, there is. Because what is a boarding school story without a death on campus? And of course, everyone around them and the adults are inept, and Charlotte takes it upon herself to try to figure out what's going on and drags Jamie along. And then there's lots of like little side stories going on with each of them, both individually, like regarding their families, and then their own side story of the two of them together, and then obviously the main mystery. And that just kind of continues through the series, and it is a very good time. It is YA, but it doesn't, I feel like it didn't read too immature. Like, I definitely think it was geared towards, that 16 plus age. So I feel like adults could pick this up and not be like super annoyed with, like the general teen banter. But that is who it's written for. So if you do have, a teen on this trip with you that you're trying to entertain, could be a good option. Okay, next is by far the best romance I've read this year. The Fastest Way to Fall by Denise Williams. I loved this book. It's about Britta and Wes. Britta is, honestly, her job kind of gives me like the 10 Things I Hate About You, not 10 Things I Hate About You, I'm sorry, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days vibes. Like Kate Hudson's working at that magazine, and it's like, that's the article it's based off of. This is kind of what's happening, except instead of her trying to lose a guy in 10 days, she instead is on this course to test out a fitness app called Fit Me, and her coworker is testing out like the rival app, and then they're both running live columns on this website that's kind of supposed to be like BuzzFeed-esque, and then also have like a whole hashtag going on Twitter, and it's very social media focused. And basically Britta signs up for this thing. She is definitely like a curvier girl. She's like, I'm not really in it to try to lose weight. I just want to see what this app is all about, give honest reviews and opinions to our readers, and go on about my life. So she signs up for Fit Me. Enter Wes. Wes is the founder and creator of FitMe. He almost never takes clients anymore, but he's found himself in some life changes, has some free time, and he decides, I'm gonna pick up some clients. Britt is one of like the 3 clients he picks up. And as he's coaching her, they kind of have this like banter going on, and she's all like, I don't feel like you're supposed to be like, you know, bantering with me like this. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, like, did I cross the line? And she's like, no, it's fine, it's fun, let's keep going. The whole point of the app is that you're not supposed to meet in person, you're not supposed to share your location information like with your coach, and it's supposed to be completely like private. Well, at some point during their talking, she kind of falls into some old poor habits that she had when she previously was dieting, and she has an accident, and the last thing she gets off in her like DMs is the wrong word, but there's like a messaging feature of the app to Wes is like help, and then like her phone just kind of goes dead from there, and he's like, what the fuck? So he breaks all sorts of rules, runs down to whatever department in his building because he is the CEO, gets her address, goes, saves her, gets EMTs involved or whatever, and then it's just beautiful, loving chaos from there. This was so wonderful. I appreciated the way Denise Williams handled. There were definitely moments of fat phobia from side characters. She handles diet culture pretty well, and even just like relationships to exercise. What else? I think there was substance abuse in here too. Yeah, substance abuse was in here, I think, from somebody on Wes's storyline. I think it was his mom. But she just handles everything so respectfully, and it just felt very realistic. There is like this big social media blow up in the book, and the way she handled that was great. Just like all the conflict felt realistic. One of the things I hate about romances sometimes is that like 3rd act conflict that they put in that like means nothing, and you're like, why are we doing this? Like, you know, you're just gonna have them make up 20 pages from now. Like, what are you doing? Whereas in this one, it just felt like, yeah, I would expect that to go that way, like IRL. So that was great. 10 out of 10 recommend. Gonna keep on with the romance train for the next 2. And the next one, we're gonna throw back to historicals. Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore, which is from the League of Extraordinary Women series. There's 3 books out right now. All of them are fun. All of them are great. The first one, I think the second one actually is the strongest one, but the first one's pretty great, especially if you're a person who generally does not enjoy historical fiction or historical romances. I felt like, despite this book being set in like, I think the 1870s or 1880s, Evie Dunmore does a really great job of bringing some of the modern wants and like feminist ideas to these characters. And the men in the stories, while some of them are historically accurate in their behavior towards women, the ones who matter in the story are very open to like evolving, and you just see this great progression happen. And so Annabelle Archer is our main character. She is part of the Blue Bloods or the Blue Stockings. Blue Stockings is what they call the first group of women at Oxford who are finally allowed to go to college. They aren't allowed to do like the regular courses like the boys or whatever, and they have to be sequestered in this area, and it's kind of dumb, but progress, right? They're finally able to go to school. She runs into this Duke because she was in, I think that they were either trying to fight for women's right to vote or just ownership of property. It was something crucial like that. She gets invited to his house by, I don't remember if it's his brother or like an acquaintance, but you know, in that way that, excuse me. So she gets invited to his house either by his brother or like an acquaintance or something, you know, in that way that like estates in that time were just not open, but like if you were a friend of a friend, like you would just get invited along to these like parties. And by parties, I mean like a group of people, not like a one-night party because you're in a carriage for like 2 hours trying to get to this estate. So they usually let you stay for like a week or whatever because it takes you all day to get there kind of thing. And that's what happens. And so this Duke is a jerk to her when he first meets her. He's like, who are you? Why are you in my house? What the fuck? Stop pouring around in here. GTFO. She reads him his civil rights in that moment. And then they just have this... chef's kiss, spicy Mike's Hot Honey kind of style love going on, okay? It is wonderful. I felt was, again, for the time, their conflicts, some of the conflicts that they have make perfect sense. Some of it's a little infuriating, but the way he goes to bat for her, oof, oof. I know sometimes we don't want men to save us, but ooh, please save me kind of moment happening. Was a very good time. 10 out of 10 recommend. If you can get the audios for these, I can't remember who the narrator is, but the voices she does for both of them, excellent. Oh, we love to see it. Great time. Excellent time. And then the next one is not a particular book, but an entire series. If you have not read the Bergman Brothers series by Chloe Leese, and you're a romance fan, I don't know what you've been doing with your life, honestly. Why are you ruining your own life? Like, why don't you like to have a good time? Come on. Okay, come on. So the most recent one I read was With You Forever, which is about Axel Bergman, who is the eldest Bergman brother. He has autism. He's on the spectrum. And so is Chloe Leese, the author. She has autism, and so she does a really great job, obviously, with the own voices rep of that. So I've found that people tend to kind of point that out. I do not have autism, so I can't tell you how accurate the rep is there. And I know not every neurodivergent person is the same, because that's what the word divergent means, is that you're, you know, obviously not the same or neurotypical. But I will say that I just heard positive things like that from people who are on the spectrum. Love this series so much. This whole family is fantastic. They're a giant soccer loving Nordic family. I don't know. They live in California, but the mom is from Sweden or Norway. I can't remember which at this moment. But she's great, super loving. Dad is a doctor. He's a good time, and there are now, I think, 5 books out. There's supposed to be 7 total, but 6 and 7 don't come out till next year, which heartbreak. The first 3 books have been out for a while now. I guess 4, because they all came out in 2020 and 2021. So it should be relatively easy to find. Technically, you don't have to read them in order, but you should. You should. It's, I think, way less confusing that way, because they do a really great job of, number one, Only When It's Us is the first book. Number one, it's been edited. When Chloe Leese first read this, or wrote this, I don't know if she didn't get sensitivity readers, or something happened in the process. She kind of meant it was just kind of brushed in that way, and she didn't really, I don't want to say she didn't think about how she was going to do that. She talked about it on her Instagram. If I can find the post, I'll leave it linked in the description. But essentially what happened is she went back and basically re-edited the book and re-released it in 2021 with the changes made to better represent the deaf community, because the hero in this book is deaf. I think his name is Ryder. It is Ryder. But he's at school. He is smitten by this girl, Willa Sutter, who is a, I think at UCLA. She's a star soccer player. They're at UCLA, I'm pretty sure. Or are they at USC? I know it matters for the people who are really into that rivalry, but I can't remember right now. They're in class together, and the professor in that class is being really tough on her. And so she's trying to work with Ryder for like notes and stuff, because she's a student athlete, right? Like, she's up at 5 a.m. running a soccer pitch, practicing, doing whatever, has to go to class, do all the shit. She's got to leave early because they're traveling to, you know, whatever other Pac-12 school to go compete. So she's like, you know, kind of struggling with this thing. And she, I think, is a freshman, so she's having a hard time transitioning. Because you're in high school, it's like a lot of that stuff is done for you, and now she's in college, she has to do it herself. Professor seems to be being a dick about it, but he actually has ulterior motives that are kind of sweet, but he's being a dick about it. Their love story is great. It's wonderful. It is hot lumberjack sexiness that is kind of the theme for most of Chloe Leese's books. Excellent. Excellent. And then Always Only You actually has a hockey twist. And I know you're like, oh, Rebecca, sports ball, who cares? It matters, but it doesn't matter, if that makes sense. I don't think you have to be a person who loves sports to enjoy these books. They matter in that it's a thing that each of the characters cares about in some form or fashion, and or brings the family together to set up some scenes, but you don't have to like have active knowledge of like the rules of hockey or the rules of soccer to like understand what's going on. And I feel like while it is a big part of the characters' lives, often it's not necessarily like the end all be all of the plot, obviously. So like it's just a factor. It's just a factor. That one has a hockey situation going on, and then the heroine uses a cane, I'm pretty sure. And I just remember her being really hot. So yeah, the Bergman Brothers series. If you're not in there, get in there. Do that, save your own life. I'm gonna hard pivot left, just way left into thrillers. Blacktop Wasteland by S.A. Crosby. Now, I know what you're saying, Rebecca, you just gave me all this good, fluffy beach read shit. Why the hell do I want to read a hard-hitting thriller while I'm laying on the beach? Well, maybe you don't. But maybe you want to save your dad from reading the same Dean Koontz or James Patterson book for the 47th time on this trip. You know, maybe you want to help him spice up his reading life with something a little bit more modern, something a little more fresh, something a little bit more fun. I gave this 5 stars. I'm not the target audience for this book, and I love the fuck out of it. So I can only imagine what the target audience thinks of this book. Basically, there's this guy, Beauregard Montag? Yeah. He's a dad. He's gotten out of the game, if you will. So he used to be a getaway driver for, whatever crimes were going on to cut some money, whatever. He now is like, I'm a dad. I'm on the straight and narrow. I'm a mechanic. I'm in a shop. Living my life, minding my business. But then a guy comes in, he's like, hey man, one last ride, one last drive, one last job. Get into this with me. Come on. And he's like, I don't know, maybe. And he kind of talks about it with his wife. He ends up deciding to take one last job. And then everything goes left. You better not only put your seatbelt on, pull that shit tight, hold on to the handrail at the top, and hold on for dear life through the rest of this book. It is so good, so fast paced. I read it on audio, really enjoyed that experience, but it's great in physical copy too, because I actually did follow along with it a bit there. So good, so good. Read a thriller on vacation is what I'm saying. Another pivot. The Brilliant Life of Eudora Honeysett by Annie Lyons is what I think is what we all hoped A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachman would have been. I know, hold on. Don't cancel me yet, hold on. I know, Frederick Bachman's great, and mostly he can do no wrong. But Uwe, not only was he a flawed man, but there was just so much fat phobia and so much vitriol in that book. And he was just kind of an asshole for mostly no reason. Yeah, I don't know. It was just really hard to... I ended up caring in the end, but not even so much about Uwe, but about all the surrounding characters. This one I cared about everybody. So Eudora is, I think, 84 maybe, 85. And she's like, listen, life was great. I'd like to yeet myself out of here. Earth is ghetto. I want to leave. I feel you, Eudora. I feel you. So what does she do? She's like, I'm going to look at a, what's it called? A end-of-life care... humanely euthanize me, send me out, put me to pasture, I would like to go now. As she's trying to plan that, this rowdy little girl moves in next to her with her family. Her mom is very pregnant. She has a very hard time keeping up with her. Little girl immediately runs over and knocks on Eudora's door. She's like, hey, I'm your new neighbor. What's up? Hey, what's up? Hello. We're gonna be friends. And Eudora's like, pest, leave, go away. She meets her mom and she's like, oh, mom, you've got a lot going on. Her mom, again, is very heavily pregnant. Rose, the little girl, is having a very hard time with it. It's a whole thing. Well, Rose has swindled her way into Eudora's life, has made her go to swimming things with her, to the mall, to this, to that, doing whatever. And then Rose, also being the busybody that she is, meets the other people around the neighborhood. There's another old man in the neighborhood. His wife has died. Eudora knows of him, but isn't really a fan. And then they all become this found family situation, and it is just really heartwarming. I think it's also just a really great look at fiction that we don't often get, what is it like to be 85 years old and feel like you're done with your life? Especially because she was alone, didn't really have any family around. And she's just like, yeah, I'm just kind of over it. And I just don't feel like we really get that a lot. And it was just very honest and very, it was heartwarming in the end, but it just felt very, it felt right. I don't know, it just felt right. And I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to recommend that to you. I think that if you're looking for, maybe not a super hard-hitting contemporary, but you don't want just straight fluff either, it would be a great middle. So with that being said, if you would like some fluff with a side of smut, here is The Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa. Hot. Great time. Wonderful time. Beautiful gowns. Gorgeous gowns. Really here for it. So Solange is The Wedding Crasher. It's not really a super apt title, only because she was there to help her cousins, who are basically her sisters, her aunts and her mom basically raised them all together, so they are more like sisters and cousins. One of them was running the wedding, like wedding planner situation, and the other one was a makeup artist. Solange is along for the ride, helping out, you know, making the life go smooth for them. And while she's there, she overhears the bride pouring out her heart and soul to one of the groomsmen, and is like, listen, bruh, if you're ready to put it all on the line, I am too. I'm in love with you. Hey, what's up, hello? Come on, let's get together. Solange tries to play it off like she didn't hear that, tries to walk away, and the bride is like, ooh, bitch, how much did you just hear? You can't tell him, blah, blah, blah. We get to the altar. Speak now, forever hold your peace. And Solange is like, bitch, you can't do this. You can't do this. You're in love with somebody else. What are you doing? What are you doing? You can't do this. And the girl's like, ooh, yeah, you're right. I can't do this. So she leaves. Just yeets herself right out of here. Pieces out. Goodbye. Groomsmen didn't stick up for her, which is like shitty or whatever, but all of this is in the synopsis. I'm not spoiling anything. Come to find out, this was going to be a marriage of convenience, a checklist, if you will. They both liked each other, but like weren't like in love, and I assume we're going to have some rules. And Dean was like, yeah, I just wanted to be a power couple, and I'm trying to make partner at my law firm, and this is just another thing to check off the list. So, all that happens, his law firm acts as if being left at the altar is gonna prohibit him from being able to do his job well, because they're like, hey man, got this new hotshot lawyer coming into town, really want her to work for our firm. She's been open, she's gonna look at other firms, but we really want her to come to our firm, so you're gonna be her like liaison while she's in the city, okay? You're gonna like schmooze her and her partner, make them love this. Also, by the way, this douchebag you hate working with, he's also going to be with you while you're doing this. And he's like, ugh, okay. And then they're all like, but you're single and Peter's married and that doesn't work. And he's like, actually, the girl who broke up my wedding is my girlfriend. We've liked each other for a really long time. And so now just things are happening. And they're like, what? Because no one knew this was going to be a marriage of convenience. So fake dating. Everyone's favorite romance trip is happening. So, you know, as they're fake dating, feelings happen, moments happen. And then some other moments happen. When you get to the stairwell scene, hit my comments, okay? That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. Great time. Great time. And if you haven't read Worst Best Man, which is one of her other wedding themed books, get on it. Get your life together. So, so good. All right, the last 4 books are all of the, actually the last one, I'm gonna do this one next instead of doing it last, so that way the other 3 can be together, can match up. Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. Oof. A gay icon of a book, let me tell you. We're in Chinatown in San Francisco, 1950s. Lily, who's our main character, she's like 15, 16 years old. She is, you know, bopping around Chinatown, having a good time. Sees this flyer for a male impersonator at the Telegraph Club, and she's like, what is this? Who is Tommy? I want to see what Tommy's got going on. But also, my mom says I can never go down the street that the Telegraph Club is on, so like, what do I do? So she's, you know, bopping around, living her life. Again, this is the time of the Red Scare. This is also the time of, there was a lot of fear of Chinese people because they just, I think, started the Japanese internment camp / those that just ended. And so there's this whole, just, you know what America's known for? Phobias of other races while they're like minding their own goddamn business. So she's dealing with some challenges there because there's people she's associated with / knows just throughout Chinatown. They're getting accused of being communists. Her dad gets his like papers taken away, so he's like, he's there as a legal citizen, but the FBI's like, fuck you, boo, dude, you're not gonna do what we want you to do, we're gonna take your papers. Good luck. Meanwhile, it's also around the time where it had not been legalized for like gay people to congregate in one space. Which is wild to me that like gay people couldn't congregate in one space legally, like just hanging out, what's going on? Yeah, I'm not doing a great job of explaining this. Let me just read the synopsis to you. This is a story of love and duty set in San Francisco's Chinatown during the Red Scare. It was about 2 women who fell in love with each other, and then Lily asked the question that had taken root in her that was even now unfurling its leaves and demanding to be shown in the sun. Have you ever heard of such a thing? 17-year-old Lily can't remember exactly when the question took root, but the answer was in full bloom the moment she and Kathleen Miller walked under the flashing neon sign of a lesbian bar called the Telegraph Club. America in 1954 is not a safe place for 2 girls to fall in love, especially not in Chinatown. Red Scare paranoia threatens everyone, including Chinese Americans like Lily, with deportation looming over her father. Despite his hard-won citizenship, Lily and Cass risk everything to let their love see the light of day. I'm gonna tell you, this is all of the sweet, sapphic romance that you need in your life. Chef's kiss, so good. Loved these characters. I loved that it wasn't overly dramatic while also being historically accurate. It was so good. It was so good. Another one where if you can get your hands on the audio, I definitely recommend doing that. All right, so let's bop into the 3 thrillers we have left on this. The first one just came out, so you may have a little bit of a time getting your hands on this. Family of Liars by E. Lockhart. I know. I can't believe I'm recommending it either. We Were Liars was one of those books that, like, I read in probably 24 hours and was like, is this book good? No. Is it a fun ride? Yeah. Am I here for the drama and the gasping? Absolutely. Would I read it again? Absolutely not. So Family of Liars comes out, and like 2 weeks before it comes out, Libro FM had released their advanced listening copies for the following month of, which was May at the time. It's May now, but it was April, and they were like, here are the May ALCs, and I was like, okay, great. And that's on there, and I'm like, I wasn't gonna read this because I don't want to pay for it because I didn't really enjoy the first one, but if you're gonna give it to me for free to review, I'm gonna do it. Why did I love this book so much? I had such a good time listening to this. Chaos. So it follows one of the moms when she's a teenager. So so basically the whole premise of We Were Liars is that they're kids of this kind of well-to-do family on their family's island for a holiday. Tragedy ensues, some people die. One of the people who dies comes back as a ghost in We Were Liars, or Family of Liars, and is like, ayo mom, tell me about like the worst thing that you've ever done. And so Family of Liars is basically just a flashback of a summer on the island, kind of in the same way We Were Liars, but just of the past. I can't really say too much more than that because it's going to be spoilers, not only of this book but then of the first book, but it's a wild ride. It's a wild ride in the same way the first one was, and I was here for every second of it. If you would like to be just consumed, 10 out of 10 I recommend picking that up. This next one is really short. Another one I would recommend, if you can do an audio experience of this, I think it gets a lot easier to understand the voice and cadence of this book because it is translated from Japanese. This is for Confessions by Kane Minato. It's translated by Stephen Snyder. Her people has killed her daughter. Now she wants her revenge. After calling off her engagement in the wake of a tragic revelation, Yuko Moriguchi had nothing to live for except her only child, 4-year-old Monami. Now, following an accident on the grounds of the middle school where she teaches, Yuko has given up and tendered her resignation. But first, she has one last lecture to deliver. She tells a story that upends everything her students ever thought they knew about 2 of their peers and sets in motion a maniacal plot for revenge. It's narrated in alternating voices. It says Confessions explores the limits of punishment, danger, despair, yikes. Confessions explores the limits of punishment, despair, and tragic love, culminating in a harrowing confrontation between teacher and student that will place the occupants of an entire school in danger. You will never look at a classroom the same way again. And I didn't. I haven't at all. I still don't know how you people are teachers. Good on you for doing that. This book is wild. It is 6 chapters told from 4 different perspectives. So the chapters are very long, but it's critical that they're that way. I know some people don't like long chapters. I generally don't like them. But in this instance, I think if they were like in those, you know, short, like 3 to 7 page chapters, it just wouldn't have worked. Because I don't want to say it's a monologue for each person, because it's not, but it's very much focused in on that character and a very specific part of the story that you need to hear in those chapters. And so I definitely recommend getting this on audio if you can. It just makes a lot more sense that way, and because it is translated from Japanese, and the Japanese way of expression is a lot different than if you're, you know, especially if you're from North America. Sometimes it's hard to get into the cadence of things when you're trying to read it physically. And the audio does a really great job, and it also has multiple narrators, so it's a lot easier to like figure out when you've switched characters, because sometimes it takes a second to realize that you're in a different character's head. That was a 5-star read for me. It was so good. It was so good. So my last recommendation is probably one of the most popular books that went across BookTube and Bookstagram last year, and that's In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is another one that's centered around school, specifically college. It's 6 friends who are at their college reunion trying to resolve an unsolved murder of one of their best friends. They were called the I forget their name, something House 7. It's like named after the house they lived in on campus. Basically, they're at their 10-year reunion at Duquesne University. Jessica is our main character that we're following, and their friend Heather dies at school their senior year, I believe, and so they come back for the reunion. Her brother is on staff at the school now, and he's basically takes all the friends and their partners and is like, yo, we gotta figure out what happened to my sister. Like, y'all are all here celebrating like your life accomplishments. My sister never got the chance to do that, and he's being kind of cryptic about it. And it's just, it's a whirlwind. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but everyone is, I feel like no one can be trusted in this book, and it's one of those great ones. It's definitely one of those books where I don't think anyone's a likable character, but that's what makes it so good. Because I think for this specific kind of thriller, you just kind of have to be a shitty person to be in it, you know what I mean? It's very, it's not very fast-paced at first, but once you get to the reunion and are past the initial like monologue from her brother that's like, my sister's dead and y'all don't care, it goes very fast. I can't recommend this book enough. She also recently wrote a romance, and that was incredible too, and you don't often see a lot of authors that can switch between thrillers and romances like that. So definitely recommend following Ashley Winstead. She seems like she's gonna have a pretty decent writing career. All right, sorry about that, I'm back, my camera died. That was the end of my list. Would love to know if you read any of these books here or recommend them to anybody. And let me know if there are any on here that you think are like must reads for the summer. Great beach reads, pool reads, things like that. I don't have any trips planned, but I have been doing a lot of pool days on the weekend. So always looking to stack my TBR with more books that I'm probably not gonna read for 3 to 6 months. So with that being said, I will see you guys in another video soon. Bye.